Hi folks, and welcome back to the WTF. I thought I would do a video on the war in Ukraine and how it affects amateur radio. I was just listening on the radio just now actually, and I saw this bizarre message which I'll show you in a minute. I do a lot of CW and we hear occasionally Russian stations, things like that, and you also hear the occasional Ukrainian stations. And in general, as the philosophy of amateur radio goes, you generally try to be polite. And certainly when I was licensed back in the 80s, there was a definite rule that you weren't supposed to discuss politics and things like that. And I think that probably holds to a degree these days. But I think my impression is when you listen on an SSB, people just say do what they like. And back in the day, you weren't supposed to swear on the air, and you weren't supposed to mention commercial things and all that. But I think that sort of changed today. But with the war in Ukraine, obviously that we do hear Russian stations all the time, and generally the sort of gentleman's agreement is that you generally try and ignore politics, although this day and age politics is a bit difficult to ignore. My philosophy is if there's Russian stations there, and if they're you just generally have a QSO with them, and that's that. And even if you wanted to say some political statement, I'm not sure if they would really understand it anyway, because well, I suppose they could, but if you try to say something in English, the chances are they may not understand it. So I was listening on the radio just now. I was about to go on 10 megahertz, and as I said, I'll show you this clip. It's quite. I thought it was quite interesting. I've never seen something like that on CW, at least. Anyway, I know there was quite a few propaganda stations when the war in Ukraine started. There was definitely some stations out there. The Russians and the Ukrainians, certainly on 40 meters, were trying to outgun each other with sort of political slogans and things like that. But this is the first time I've heard something on CW, and luckily I had my Elecraft, which has got a CW decoder, because the guy was sending very quickly and certainly much faster than I can scribble down. So I'll show you the clip and see what you think. But I think these days, I have to admit, if it was a Ukrainian station, I can't really blame them for sort of sending those sentiments. I think if I was in their position, I would feel the same. And well, all we can do is hope that the Russia-Ukraine war will end, but doesn't seem to be any sign of that happening anytime soon. Anyway, let's show you the clip and see what you think. I presume this is a Ukrainian station. I'm just stumbling around on 30 meters on 10 megahertz. And interesting messages being sent here. Seems to be sending the same message. Generally in the world of amateur radio, things like that don't usually send, but I thought it was quite interesting. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. See you again.